Hello and welcome to Eternal Spirit. Once again, Eternal Spirit, you've got the wrong person here, I know, because you're used to seeing Paul Salmon, who runs the programme, who's the presenter. But you know, Paul is so interesting. Do you realise this is our third programme regarding Paul? Because there's so much to learn about. So thank you so much for coming today, Paul.
My absolute pleasure.
Lovely. I'm so looking forward to this because Paul's got so many things to tell us about. I don't know about you, but I'm dying to know how he got started and about your spirit guides. Now, I thought everybody had, I don't know about you, I thought everybody had one spirit guide, but Paul says you have three.
Well, maybe you yourself have one.
Yeah.
Maybe some others do. I'm sure they do. I just happen to have three. And they do change, by the way.
Right.
When they come to do their job, they may leave you and another guide comes in to help you on the path in a different way. But my guides, like for instance, I've got a guide that comes in for help me with my work. One comes in for strength and another for a bit of philosophy.
Wow.
And they all combine at different times and give me that bit I need at that time.
Yes. Do you know, do you feel different with each guide, or you accept what you get?
When I work, I can feel the guides come in. And when I'm by myself as well, in meditation, just walking the dog, I get this extra sense of company, if you like.
Oh, really? You're never alone?
You're never alone.
Really?
You may think you are,
Yes.
but, we aren't. So we've always got support. And our family comes in as well from the other side, just to lift us up and to see how we're doing. Yeah.
Oh, that's very comforting.
Well, I know my dad comes around. I feel him quite often. Like in the other programme, I had a photograph of the orb, which was him. And that's a bit of confirmation, But confirmation for me, because you have to believe it, and other people have to believe it themselves.
Right.
As much as I can tell them what I believe to be the truth, I'm not here to convince anyone.
No.
Nor is any other mediums. We can just pass on what we give. But it's up to you deciding yourself how you feel.
But it's so comforting to think you're not alone. And having seen all the orbs, and I know we're going to see a few more orbs a little bit later, they're fascinating. But Paula, I'd love to ask you, how do you start? How do you get into being able to receive messages? I mean, you must have not an off day, you must have a break. They can't be there all the time, are they? Or?
No, see, at the beginning, some are born into it, but I wasn't. But like I told you before, it's latent within us, But when I work, personally for me, all mediums work in different ways. Yeah. I switch on and off, right? So when I work in a church, I switch on, I do a little prayer, talk to my guides, and get attuned, if you like.
Right. And
we work. Then I shut down. But sometimes when you think you're shut down, you're not, because they do creep in with the odd message.
Oh, right. Oh, really?
They say, hang on a bit, you forgot this bit, or they forgot, and give me an extra bit to pass on.
Right.
So they can, even though you think you switch off, sometimes you're not.
Is that for important things, or they're just because they're there?
A bit of both, really. Right. I was working at church last night. I said, right, to a member of the congregation, I said, I'll leave you now, God bless, I'll move on. Then I had to come back and give an extra message to that person.
Oh.
But even when you do shut down afterwards, after the whole evening's finished, I might be driving home and I still get a little message.
Do you?
About myself or something, yeah.
Oh, lovely. So that's very comforting for
you.
Well,
I don't mind. I'm quite happy, But I do have my own way of switching on and off, which might be different to others, I'm sure.
Right, and how do you receive the message? Because we had a chat a little bit earlier, and I found this fascinating. You receive messages in different ways, don't you?
Do you know what? We call it circles when we begin in a development circle. We sit all together to learn. And I was told about symbols, and like a bird or I don't know, symbolic things, like little signs, and how to interpret them. And I thought, this is a whole different language.
Yes.
So I went home that evening. I said, dear God, it's too difficult. All I want to do is hear voices, see spirit, see those who've passed over, feel, because I take on feelings of ailments as well in my body.
Oh, right.
And I want to know. That's 4 things to start with.
Yes.
But I don't want to work out symbols.
That sounds so complicated.
But it does.
Yes.
To some it might be natural, but to me it isn't. So I don't really see symbolic things as such, but I just hear, feel, sense, and I pass on the message.
You've told me this before.
Yeah.
You felt things.
Yeah, I'd rather do it the easy way.
But then I would understand that. I mean, if you
Yeah.
said to me, I'm seeing a little bird over there,
Yeah.
and that means such and such, I'd think, oh, that's a bit
Yeah.
strange. So to
Yeah.
hear something I understand is...
Yeah.
And I'm fascinated, you can actually feel sometimes slight pain.
So
of
if
somebody.
someone passed with a heart attack, my heart will flutter, or I feel, or if someone in the congregation or the audience is under a lot of pressure, sometimes I feel pressure on my chest, and like this.
Gosh.
Or if someone's broken a leg in the past, I feel the broken leg. It doesn't hurt me. It's just that the sensation is taken to that different part of the body.
Gosh. It's never dangerous.
No, not to me. And if someone died, like a few weeks ago in church, a person came through who died on the pavement, on the street, out shopping, just like this.
Yes.
And I had the sense of my body collapsing. But it's all sense.
Yes. Amazing.
But after I give the message away, that feeling's taken away. So.
But being able to say that feeling, that whoever's receiving the message
They
will
understand.
know, won't they?
Yeah, exactly.
You've had some wonderful messages given to you, haven't you?
Yeah.
There was one about the lady that came through, and I mean, you would hope that anybody who came through would say they love you, but I think you've got a different take on that
This
story.
is such a simple message, but it sticks in my mind. I described a lady who passed over to her daughter in the congregation at church, and I described her and I said, well, your mum's saying she loves you, and the woman said, she never said that down here.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, but she's seen the bigger picture. When you pass over, you do see the bigger picture to life, right, and how others feel. And she saw her mistakes, and now she came to say, I love you, because she couldn't bring herself to say it to her daughter on earth.
Right.
And, it gave a loving feeling to the daughter, but at the same time, it's a bit sad that she never said it on earth.
Yes.
You know.
But it's maybe never too late to
Never
say.
too late. No, it's never too late.
So the daughter must have been quite emotional, was she? Or unbelieving?
No, she was believing. She was a believer. But it just proved that life does go on. And that's my main point of the work. Because I didn't know about this for 30-odd years, And...
I know you've written a poem to that effect.
Yes.
And
I don't like poetry more.
No, you don't.
But yeah.
But you've had. We won't talk about it now. You see,
No.
there's so much about you. You could talk about so many different things here, and we take it in an order. So, when did you actually start becoming a medium? When did this all begin? How many years ago?
I'll tell you what. The process began a week before my son was born, almost. Because I went to church purely to keep my friend company. And the first message came from my dad, who just passed, and my best friend. A week later or so, the message was given to me about, your baby, you're having a baby. I said, well, yes, my wife is.
Yeah.
And it happened the week after. And I kept being told I'd be doing it one day myself. But the more I had to read, I was like a sponge. I had to learn for myself. Not to be a medium. Then I sat and learned, and I was invited to join a group, and I flowed into it. I'm happy to say.
Right. Was it easy? I mean, did the messages come?
No, it took some time, and for many months I just sat blank with a group of friends, and nothing. I thought nothing happened, but it does. I mean, the guides are working on you.
Yes.
Without you knowing it, really.
What, the guys, you mean on the other side?
Yeah, and your family all coming to help. And I remember being in church once, and the medium in front of about 30 or 40 people said, "You meditate?" And I said, "Yes, but nothing happens." And the whole people in the church laughed because they knew something is happening to me.
Right.
But at the time, it didn't seem it was.
Oh,
But
right.
fortunate, I had the patience to carry on because I had to learn.
Right.
And a lot of people do give up, you know.
Is it that you don't recognise when you're getting messages, or is it a case that you're just closed?
It could be that you're closed, you need opening.
Mm.
But the voices I hear is my voice talking to myself from others. Okay. So a lot of mediums hear accents and hear different voices, but I hear my voice. Those in spirit talk to me using my brain pattern. So that's
Right.
and the difficult bit at first is working out, is that my imagination or is it me?
Yes.
Or is it them?
Yes.
Because I had my own voice to cope with.
Yes.
So it's a fine line, you know, which I had to learn.
So you have to validate your own
Yeah.
thoughts.
Yeah.
So it's not just
Exactly.
telling somebody, you have to get it back
Yeah.
again to know that you're
Yeah.
okay.
Mm.
Which I thought was quite fascinating when you talk about when you have a spiritual evening with a lot of people, and you get no response
Yeah.
from them. I mean, that to me it's not sharing.
Yeah,
It's not
but see,
fair.
I worked somewhere once and I gave out 4 messages and nothing came back, and I looked an idiot, I thought, been off for like 20 minutes giving out messages, until afterwards 4 people came up and said we were too shy, but yeah, that's
Oh.
because they don't want to be known in public what I was on about. And it does get personal. And if you're not willing to share things, then don't come to a church or, you know.
I know,
That's what you've got to
I
think about.
know, yes.
And, but some people are just shy anyway, you know.
So that must take away you personally, as you were, growing,
Yeah.
must have taken away a lot of your confidence.
It did at first. The first couple of
Yes.
times I was in front of an audience and I felt awful. But I think we touched on this before, Maureen, where it wasn't me. It's, but I hadn't learned to cope with a congregation or an audience.
Right.
I thought it'd be ever so easy, just pass on the message and that's
Yeah.
it. But I didn't think people were shy or wouldn't admit to anything.
Yes.
So
Yes, because
that-
they're there.
Yeah. So now I've toughened up a bit. You've got to.
Mm.
You know, you're on show, you're doing a demonstration. And so I did learn the hard way.
So every message really does have somebody to
And
pick
we
it
talk
up.
about struggling. I was at a church last evening
Mm.
and I found myself struggling in front of a packed hall. And I thought, no, it's not me. And I said to this lady, you're actually struggling in life. And she said, yes, I am. So I was taking on the struggle.
Oh, gosh.
I thought, thank you very much. Once we got over that barrier,
Yes.
I gave the other message to her.
Oh, right.
And,
so you do pick up from people as well.
yeah, and I don't just give messages of survival. I turn into an agony uncle, you know.
Do you?
I give advice and guidance as well.
Oh, in what way?
And
What does that mean?
it
Marriage guidance?
oh,
or?
you name it, I give it. I
From the other side?
yeah, it comes through
Oh.
me to give to them.
Right.
But I don't necessarily, you see, it's just, and sometimes it's my guides just giving advice.
Mm.
And it's funny, I said to the young woman last year, shh, you talk too much. And you will learn when to say things and when not to say things. Then the mother next to her dug her in the ribs and said, I told you that. And that's more confirmation, you know.
Right. So they recognised
They
this
do
came
recognise.
from a family
Yeah.
member,
Yeah.
did it?
And there are very personal problems that come up, and I say things like, now's not the time to do this or that.
Yes.
And it's just like advice and guidance. you know,
Right. But in
being a
public,
counsellor.
do you have
But
to
in
be
public.
careful what you actually impart? I mean,
Yes,
are you
you-
told things that you have to put in a
Yeah.
different way?
Quite a bit, and when you pass over, you have the same personality, so you're going to be spoken to the way they did on Earth.
Oh.
And when you hear words like "you silly cow" and all this, I think I can't say that, but you've got to.
Because
Because-
they'll recognise it as
Yeah,
that,
I said to one lady, I said, it is mostly ladies as well in the
Yeah.
congregation. I said, I've got to say, you silly cow. And she and the rest of her family that evening burst out laughing because her mum used to call them silly cows, you know, and that's her language she used.
Oh.
and it's a good job I had to say it. But you've got to think, you know, or how to be polite.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can't, Maureen. Sometimes you just got to come out and say it as it is.
Because then you recognise
Yeah.
where that message has come from,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know.
Yeah.
And I think that's brilliant. So that's fascinating. You keep your same character then. Do you keep your character
Keep
for
your
long? Or personality?
Yeah, but see, down here we're changing, aren't we? We grow and our personalities change.
Yes.
And like I said, I've toughened up now when I work. And that's a personality change. So yes, when you pass, you keep your personality, but you do evolve the whole time, like we do.
Oh, all right. And do you have help in evolving? Because, I mean, you have to have lessons to have learnt.
Yeah, but I mean, I have lessons down here,
Yeah.
and we're learning the whole time.
Yes.
I'm learning from you. I mean, I start my programs next week, and I'm learning from you, you know.
Oh,
And
thank you.
the same on the other side, you learn.
Do they have people to teach you? Do you have things like angels that teach you? Or?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert on angels, but I know they're there,
Yes.
and I've got a firm faith and belief in angels.
Right. Are your spirit guides angels?
I don't believe so. I believe they are guides.
Right.
Angels are part and particle of God, and you've read in the, or maybe you haven't, but in the Bible it mentions about angels coming to the earth, and actually they do speak on behalf of God, as if some, you know, like it says, I am God of this and that, and so they do represent him, but they have free will as well.
Oh, do they?
Because don't forget, one of the angels did fall,
Yes.
and that's by his choice, so he had freedom of, you know, free will.
Yes. Oh, that's Satan.
Yeah, I don't like talking about.
No,
Don't mention that.
we won't
Not to
mention
me.
that word. Sorry. But I'm just checking that we're talking about the
Yes,
one
yeah,
that fell.
Yeah.
So why are there angels, do you think? Because you...
Angels do help us. They are actually God's messenger,
Right.
right? But there are things like titles like seraphims, cherubims, thrones, all different types of
Gosh.
angels, archangels, and angels. And
There's a hierarchy of
there's
angels.
a hierarchies,
Oh.
and it's like we deal with angels. They pass on the message back to the archangels and back to the thrones, and I can't think of the order off by heart now.
Yes.
Till you get the angels closest to God, and it's like a filter system, I believe, filtering God's love.
Oh.
And because I feel if the angels step to one side, I don't believe we could handle God's love. It'd be all empowering.
Right. Well, too strong.
Too strong. That's what I believe. That's what
Yes.
I like to think.
Yes.
So you've got the angels from God coming downwards, the archangels, angels down to us.
Right.
It sort of filters the love and passes messages back.
Oh.
But at the same time, if you speak to God, I do believe he can hear you. So I'm sort of contradicting myself in a way.
Perhaps it's a lot of things we don't actually
Oh,
know.
I don't know. It's a lot I don't understand.
So I'm not going to go to heaven and become an angel.
I'm sure you will, Mark. I'm sure you, but no. Not straight away.
So when they say, you know, somebody's passed over and become an angel, they don't. They are
I
a
don't believe so.
spirit, and they
Yeah.
are maybe in the orbs.
Mm.
Oh, fascinating, because I've never thought of that before. That's very interesting. Do you know, we've got so much to talk about. Thank you for that.
That's all right.
I'd like to go on. Do you know, Paul, you had a magazine, didn't you, that was...
I did publish a magazine
yes.
called Eternal Spirit. Yeah.
Oh, so it was called Internal Spirit.
Yeah,
So I think, oh yes, look,
There's
we've
a
got a
copy
cover of it. That's a really good cover. Colin Fry.
Colin Fry, the man himself.
Yes. Now, aren't you interviewing Colin Fry
I am
soon?
for the Eternal Spirit show, yes. In
When's
October.
that?
In
October. Oh, I shall
Yeah.
look forward to
But I've
that.
met him a few times, really lovely guy. You know. And do you know what? I met him backstage in Ipswich, and half hour before his show, and the hall was empty. I met him backstage, had a chat. Then we finished, and he was on stage a minute later. I mean, I thought he wouldn't give. You know, you don't know if he's.
Yeah.
names. You think, oh, will they give me time of day? But he gave me a whole half hour.
Gosh.
Right up to the minute he came on stage.
No, he didn't have any time to prepare? Or...
He was already prepared anyway. And,
but how lovely, how
so,
generous.
So when I came out of his changing room, I come on stage, I'm in front of like 1,000 people. So I just crept off to the side.
1,000 people. Is that more than you're used to?
Oh, I've demonstrated in front of about 200. But then the next week I could be at church with about half a dozen.
Yes. Which is your preferred? I mean, you were saying...
I haven't got preference or preference. I just think it is what it is.
Right. So
it's
you
all
cope
work.
with the day and whatever it brings and the people there.
Yeah. Or even if it's a chat on the telephone to someone who wants a bit of help, you know.
Oh, right. Can you pick up on the phone as well?
Yeah.
You don't have to be close to somebody or in the same room?
Not physically, no, because it's all mind to mind.
Right.
See, so it's all linked up.
Gosh.
So.
Do you offer that sort of service? Could somebody do that?
I don't know about offering, but I do get calls. I had one from Dubai the other day in Zurich. And
really?
So distance is no problem, you know. Because like I said, it was all mind to mind. And
right. You do some interesting work.
It is, I must admit, it is interesting.
Yes. Have you had a very interesting message? Or you did. You had one where somebody said murder.
Oh, do you know
what
what?
Was that?
That was my first ever time I worked in a church.
No.
Talk about chucked in at a deep end.
Yeah.
I was in front of a congregation and I heard the word murder. So obviously, it's about murder, isn't it?
Yes.
But my senses told me I was talking to a man in the front row. And I said, you know someone who got murdered? And he said, yes, about 40 years ago. I said, it doesn't matter. Sometimes time is immaterial on the other side. It's all one, you know.
Yeah.
And the voice said to me, who said murder, said, I was murdered, but I couldn't get my head around it. So I passed the message on, and the man laughed with his wife in the congregation. I said, what are you laughing at? And they said, well, when they pulled his body out of the water, he had no head. Hence, I couldn't get my head around it. He was having a joke.
Having a joke about losing his head?
He was having a laugh with me.
Grief.
He couldn't get his head around it. So, yes.
You wouldn't think anybody would laugh about that, would
you?
you?
Well, he was. Or, you know, he had a sense of humour.
Yes. Oh, so goodness.
So
that was one of your first ones, was it?
Yeah, one of my favourites as well. I mean, each message you give is meaningful, no matter how big or small, you know.
Do you feel emotion with it as well? Do you get emotion from people?
I did at first, you know. I used to, when I was training once, I burst into tears. I had a breakdown.
Oh.
Because I had a child come through that died, and it was the same age as my son at the time.
Oh.
Right? He was only a few months old. And I believe they gave that to me because I could relate to that age of baby, you know.
Yes.
And I didn't just cry, I broke down. I almost collapsed.
Oh.
But I've learned to... But you see, the audience or congregation don't want to see that.
No.
They don't want to see it.
No.
And so I've had to learn, like other mediums have to learn, to put on a bit of a front and just be there as a medium, passing on the message.
Be a vessel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see you could get emotional.
I could get emotional now.
Yeah. Oh, could you?
Yeah.
No,
but
I haven't got
emotional.
any tissues here. So.
And you need a sense of empathy as well to work.
Yes.
You know,
yes, you must
help.
be very
I'm
empathic.
very sensitive.
Right.
But that's in life as well, and a lot of us mediums are.
Right.
Yeah.
But do you pick up emotion from the spirits? Do they have emotion? I mean, could you get somebody come through that's crying because they're so upset for the person?
Because you can feel the emotion that they're upset or annoyed about what's going on down here. But I also pick up the emotions from people here as well.
Oh, right.
And on the telephone, it's quite easy to do.
Grief.
I thought, you've been in tears. Yes. And you do pick up, it's all about emotion, it's all about love.
And that's lovely, so it is all about love. It is good, this is all good spirits.
God is love, isn't it?
Yes.
So they say.
So it all comes from God, and all spirits go back to God?
Well, thank you. well done. Yes.
Yes. Oh.
Yes, it all comes from and it all goes back.
Oh.
And it's ever evolving. And life, death and rebirth, you know.
Just wonderful to never feel alone. There's a lot of people in this world that feel very alone, feel nobody cares about them. So that sort of gives you
but
hope.
if they just
doesn't
knew,
it?
and see, because I didn't know about life after death, and because I had these panic attacks, now I know we don't. My job, I believe, is to help others who feel like I did, but where they are, I don't know where they are.
Yeah.
Maybe there should be a group about the fear of dying anonymous or something.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. Or wanting to know if you actually, do you join up with people you love?
Yeah, but how do you mean?
Well, if I died tomorrow, would I meet up, say, with my mother?
Oh yes, if your mum's passed on, she'll be waiting for you.
Oh.
And because love attracts, or like attracts like, you know.
Right.
But down on the earth, we're such a mixture of some who love, some who hate, some you don't get on with. But when you pass over, you'll be attracted to the ones who love you and you love them. So.
I feel emotional now.
But that's how it is. But down here, it's a learning curve, you know, because you have to get on with those we don't like, those we do like, some we can't stand, some who hate us for whatever reason. And you just have to cope. And it's difficult, you know.
It is, yeah. So does that mean then that when you pass over, you don't have any of that, you just have love?
Do you know what? I before I got into this way of life, my dad just passed. And I was sat in my kitchen sink doing the washing up. And my dad just passed a few months before. And I felt love. And I felt God's love. And it only lasted a second. But I'll never ever forget it. And do you know what we said about not being able to cope? If I had that the whole time, you can't cope, it's overbearing. The love was so powerful, and it's like nothing on earth. And
oh, how wonderful.
I've brought some more pictures in again to show you.
Oh, right.
Because last time I wanted permission from people in my old photographs. And I thought you might like to see them.
Yes, thank you. I think we've got them here. Oh,
now,
look,
see, I've got this, well, you can't see them at the moment. That's practising our Morris dancing.
I can see an orb down there.
That's the orb. And see, it's quite strong, isn't it?
It absolutely is.
That's a relative of this chap here. Now, they're marching up the hall, and the next photo is them coming back. Now, you watch. See the orb?
Oh, yes. So they do move.
Well, yeah.
So this is somebody that's maybe following
that's
him.
That's a personality. Belongs to that, my friend, Sean. Now, I've got his permission to show it.
Yeah.
And I don't know who it is, to be honest with you, because I wasn't tuned in. I was just taking the photographs. But somehow I can capture them on photograph. But I'm sure that's a close member of the family of him or friend joining in.
Oh, right. Oh, right.
Yeah.
And
this,
goodness.
These are friends of mine performing as a folk band on stage.
Right.
Called the Bounty Hounds. I'll give them a plug. And we're all folkies gathered in the church. And see the couple of orbs.
Oh, I know, yes.
Now, they're not necessarily friends or family. They've just come along to have a look and join in.
So there's rockers on the other side, are there?
Oh, folkies
folky
in this case.
Folky people,
But if you look at the next one, this is at the back of the church.
Oh, look how many there are.
See them all gathering?
Yes.
Right. Now, there's a big pattern on the ceiling, and some people said, oh, it's Jesus. But it's not. Well, it could be, but it's actually the reflection coming through the window.
Of the window, yes. But I see I can see how people might think it is.
But these are the orbs or the personalities from heaven just coming to say hello and joining in.
Isn't that lovely? Together,
and one got a bit cheeky. You watch the next picture. There's one on stage with the band.
It's huge.
It's a big one there. Yes. But there's another man who's a professional photographer taking pictures. And I've seen this photo, and he hasn't got one orb at all.
Really?
No.
So how come you get that?
Because it's not the equipment, it's the person taking it.
No.
But I don't know. I don't know. It's just an extra gift. You know?
Oh gosh, I didn't know that. So that was really interesting.
Yeah. But you have a gift of writing.
Oh,
which I'll have to interview you one day. I think we've got a mutual fan club going on here. But you have a gift of writing, but I haven't. Right? Apparently, I've got the gift of photographing orbs.
We've got a lot of gifts. haven't you? You're a medium and you...
But like I said to you
Yeah.
before, I haven't got the gift of plumbing or doing electrical work.
Yeah, but you can't have gifts and everything, can
It'd
you?
be nice though, but I'm happy with what I've got.
Well, I think you're utterly fascinating. And do you know what? The time just goes. And do you know, it's been half an hour. Can you believe that? I can't. I'm sure there's still more we could talk about, but we've run out of time again. And do you realise this is 3 programmes? I thought I'd be seeing Paul for 1 programme and we just talk a little bit about him, but it's taken 3 programmes to just get this far. And I'm hoping next week you'll be having your own programme,
Yes,
Paul.
I'll start next week, and
Yes.
Maybe you'll be a guest of mine.
Oh, I'd love to.
Because I've read your book, or one of your books. It's fascinating. Can I just say, Maureen, thanks ever so much for allowing me to show the orbs,
Oh,
because you're the first one willing to at the moment.
really?
And
And I don't understand why. They're fascinating.
Yeah, and the photo of Jesus, which
Yes.
few people aren't willing to show, so thanks ever so much.
No, I think
So-
it's fascinating. I think if you have an open mind, you know, it's just fascinating. And Paul, I think you're wonderful. And I don't know when you're next doing the show.
I'll start next week sometime, but we'll have a chat after.
Yeah, I was also thinking, yes, where you are, if you're in a spiritualist church or you've got anything booked at the moment.
If anyone wants to Google Paul Salmon Medium, I'm sure there's information there somewhere.
Right. Well, I think we'll put Paul's email address up at the end. So if anybody wants to contact him, one, to find out more information or to book him, I'm sure that's all right, isn't it,
Fine
Paul?
by
I'd
me,
like to
yeah.
do that.
Thanks ever so
And
much.
I'd like to come along to your next meeting.
Yeah,
I think that
please
would
do.
be fascinating. So thank you very much for joining us, and look forward to next week, because it'll be Paul interviewing a medium or somebody associated with spirituality. And I know I'll be watching. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Maureen.
Thank you.